social media hashtags have sprung up amid ongoing gender-based killings, but does the social media uproar help to create tangible change? We now talk to Tessa Dooms, who's a social analyst, who joins us via Skype. Tessa, I've heard, looking at the scourge, really, and the uproar on social media, one wonders, from uproar, how do we translate it to societal change and a cultural change that we can practice every single day?
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Faith. I think in the last few years, we've seen that social media has the ability to at least raise awareness in ways that we weren't able to do before social media. And although we can safely say that social media does not represent the voice of all South Africans, I think on an issue like gender-based violence, it has become a tool and a medium for at least some of the sentiments that I believe are in many communities in this country to be expressed and to be heard and to gain traction. And so a lot of the protests that we are seeing on the streets are a culmination of a lot of the conversations that have happened on social media with hashtags like Men Are Trash, but also just with hashtags and stories that have been told about woman after woman after woman who have been abused and violated in our country. And so it's playing an important role of giving a very particular voice to the issue.
I mean, one would look at it in terms of, have we seen a significant spike in the scourge of gender-based violence in the country, or is it simply that now we've got tools that are available that link us to the outside world and the global community and the community of media, where such stories are now told on a much more wider platform as opposed to before, when we did not have the luxury of social media. We did not have the luxury of media that were just on time when it comes to telling some of those stories. So have we seen a spike, or really have we had a problem persisting for generations that's now just come to the fold, and we can actually have honest conversation, open conversations about it?
Yeah, somebody on social media this morning on Twitter actually brought back a video from 1999 with Charlize Theron, that was a TV ad where she was speaking about rape statistics and talking about how 1 in 3 women are raped every day in South Africa. And that statistic has not changed. In fact, we actually have statistics now that show that even more men have admitted to having raped women in surveys that have been done than the 1 in 3. So that ad was banned in 1999, but now we know that that ad was talking about the reality that we now are busy talking about on social media, because we're able to tell stories much more directly. We're not waiting for a third medium of either TV or radio, but we are ourselves being able to tell these stories. And I think particularly one of the things that's been interesting has been the question about missing persons. And I don't think before social media, we were able to really engage with the idea of people who are missing before this now. And I think with women particularly, it's been helpful to know that we can do something to help find people who are missing and find women who are in danger.
And on the other side of it, looking at the role of social media, especially in these times in South Africa where gender-based violence has come up again as a big talking point, that how do we then start putting pressure on government, especially where policy is concerned, to be more responsive to certain issues? Because, I mean, issues around gender-based violence, I mean, we're talking about how, yesterday the president was speaking about how we need to have harsher sentences and life sentences, etc. But those are already mandates that are in place. Maybe it's about enforcing the very same legislation and enforcing the very same policies that will allow for societal change. And maybe that's where social media plays a role in being able to put the pressure and the heat on government so that some of these policies can be implemented.
Absolutely. I think one of the most disheartening things about the president's statement last night, particularly the one last night, was that much of it was spent telling us what government already has in place. And so it's very disheartening for women to know, oh, we do have a gender registry, and we do have these centers, and we do have this funding, and we're still feeling unsafe. And I think that was one of the moments where I realized that our government really is out of touch with what it is that people need, and people are out of touch with what it is government is doing, and there's a mismatch between the two. And I think one of the roles of social media in this time is to educate. And people think that Men Are Trash was just for shock value, but it's caused people that weren't having the conversation before to engage in the conversation now. And the fundamental message around Men Are Trash is that it's not just about rape and murder. It's about the everyday aggressions that women face, the everyday feelings of being unsafe or being pursued when they don't want to, or having their boundaries violated. And I think that's the part where government is missing. They're missing the everyday stuff. They're missing it when we're not being raped, but we're being made to feel unsafe in so many other ways that eventually lead to rape and murder. And if we don't make that communication clear and that message clear, government will continue with things that are very reactive. So once you are raped or once you are murdered, then this will happen. And we need a different narrative that says we are going to change the way our psyche of our society works so that women don't end up in these situations. And that the everyday small things that men do that make women feel unsafe can be called out and challenged. And that's what government needs to hear from social media and all other places.
Tissa, we're going to leave it there for this afternoon. But thanks a lot for joining us and shedding some light in terms of exactly where does social media fit in when it comes to being able to actually embark or even spark some kind of societal change. Is it just the hashtags that continue to trend, or is it actually a point where it translates to actual radical, tangible change, especially with some of the cultural norms that get practiced in an everyday life